Welcome back, everybody, to Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time Minimalist Run. And as you've noticed, I've lost the blue ears because the last couple videos I found the sound quality was really not that good with the noise-canceling mic and stuff. A lot of clipping, a lot of problems, and so I'm going back to this old broken one for now until I can buy a specific recording headset. Anyway, technical difficulties aside, we are starting with the Shuttle Temple, and already we've got issues with things that are being hidden and walk through walls and everything, and I kind of like that, where they had some fake walls and stuff that are not real. This kind of harkens back to the days of the original Legend of Zelda, where there were fake walls, and there were, like, hidden secrets which were not very obvious at all. And so this could almost be like a 3D version homage to the old original Zelda game, where, at least in the second quest, you had a ton of secrets and stuff just lying about everywhere, and unless you knew exactly which walls to literally walk through, those secrets would never be revealed to you, honestly. Now, this dungeon brings up a very interesting plot point that has no bearing whatsoever on this game, but just on the overall myth and lore of the game world, of the Zelda world itself, of Hyrule. History of blood and greed. Apparently there is a backstory to all this, where Hyrule wasn't the shining example of a perfect kingdom that it presented itself to be. There was probably some very bad war crimes, or tyrannical rulers, possibly, you know, that have reigned over Hyrule and literally built this place. I mean, look at the walls. This is built off bones, skulls of, I don't know, past battles and the losers. You know, losers of Hyrule's battles. I mean, this place is just filled with, dare I say it, damning evidence against Hyrule, and that they're not the squeaky clean monarchy that they claim to be. So, either that or the Sheikah have something else up their sleeves that nobody knows about yet, and the Sheikah are not as benevolent as they claim to be. So a lot of just interesting minor plot points about the game world that the Shuttle Temple just kind of glosses over, like completely glosses over. It just throws it away in a single line of vague, I don't know, lore building. But yes, oh gosh, instead of 4 hands, we now have 5 hands. Or 6, actually, I can't count. And we have to face Dead Hand again, now as an adult. So I think the amount of damage Dead Hand takes is actually less this time. It took 10 hits as a child. Oh my gosh, he's right on top of me. Oh gosh. Just stay away from that middle, completely. He's no harder than he was in the previous battle as a child. It's just that now you have less room to maneuver, honestly, and he ends up being closer and closer to you whenever he spawns. But he's just as slow and just as easy and just as creepy. And 7 hits this time, so you did a lot more damage as an adult. And we get one of the oddest, I'd say, items in the Legend of Zelda series that they have not revisited since this game. The hover boots. For a short period of time, you will be able to hover out across pits and chasms for a couple seconds and then fall. At first glance, it probably doesn't seem like it has a lot of utilitarian use, but the Shuttle Temple makes great use of this particular item, and later on, when you need to get to the Spirit Temple, the quicksand and other places also make use of this item. Now, the Shuttle Temple, unlike other dungeons, seems to be a little bit more linear and more driven focused in its design. So there isn't a lot of backtracking per se. It's more of like a go straight from the entrance straight to the end of the dungeon on a one singular path with just this minor backtracking after you get the hover boots. So, using the lens of truth, you have to point it at the correct skull that does not disappear when you look through the lens. If you don't, that circular construction of rocks underneath the bird statue will literally drop and make you fall into a bottomless pit and you die. Kinda creepy. And here is the first instance where you literally have to use the hover boots. You cannot get across this gap otherwise. Actually, it's more like a second. Not even a couple seconds. A second of hovering. And for those who have a keen eye, I was wondering if anybody would notice it before this point, but if you haven't already, I changed out of my blue tunic in between videos, and now I'm in my green tunic. Just because, honestly, you don't really have much need or use for them anymore, up until I think maybe 1 or 2 areas in Ganon's tower at the end, and that's about it. And oh my goodness, this is going to be bad. We have Gyptos, which are, oh gosh, that is one of the creepiest ways of them draining your life. What the heck is it doing to you? So Gyptos pretty much act just like Redeads. They don't have any real difference in AI or attack patterns than any other Redead. And if you use, I think as a child, a Deku stick and you burn them with the Deku stick, I think it hurts them, but it also burns away their bandages, and underneath the bandages is a Redead. So Gyptos are Redeads, apparently, bandaged up. Interesting that. That thing just will not die on the first bomb. But it will on the second. Now, this is the same type of obstacle as we found in the iced cave, but now we actually have a little bit more of a, oh gosh, visual aesthetic design to it of 2 Grim Reapers. How quaint. Now, where is that? Oh, there it is. Oh gosh, right in the face! If this were true to life, Link would be decapitated at this point. Totally. And I'm gonna get hit again, aren't I? Oh gosh. Oh, ho, ho, ho. Right, just nick in the face there, just the nose or something. Oh, look at that. Invisible floor. What's it saying there, Nabi? Come here. Little does it know, it doesn't tell you about the drop. Come here! Ah, gosh! There is the ferry to the other world. Why would such a place be just built past the graveyard in Kakariko Village? I mean, the Sheikah had something to do with this construction, if you really think about it. I mean, there's no other reason, or no other group of people who could have built this type of... this place. What was the point of it? So, I mean, there's a lot of questions to ask here. Not a lot of answers. So, if anything, the Shadow Temple brings up more questions than it does answers about the history of Hyrule, or more specifically, Kakariko Village. Yep, the Vivos is back again. In fact, they've actually modified the design of the Vivos a lot in recent Zelda games. But this version, the very first 3D incarnation of the Vivos, is probably more true to its original form when it was first introduced in Link to the Past. Pretty much from here on out, we are more or less on the straight and narrow to the end of the dungeon. I mean, there isn't too many side paths left and right from here on. Yes, there is no warning or indication that these spiders are hiding up above there, except for maybe a shadow on the floor, because there's invisible ceilings up there. See how it goes up? It goes up seemingly into the ceiling, but it's invisible. That's a fake ceiling. And of course we got very deadly traps here. This is almost like a torture place or prison for criminals and people who are supposed to be left here to rot and die. Ah, yes, and of course wall masters, or floor masters, or ceiling masters, whatever you want to call those disembodied hands. What's creepy about this whole place is that... I'm on fire. Oh, these Stolfos, you're on a very limited platform, place of movement, where you're probably going to end up falling off more than you are being successful at fighting them. Just move on. Don't even bother facing the Stolfos. Yeah, what is creepy about this whole dungeon is that it seems like you're getting deeper and deeper into the bowels of the earth. You're constantly moving down into like the depths of the underworld, as it were. Very unsettling, this whole dungeon. That was kind of close. Ah, this room annoyed me to no end. I couldn't figure out at first how to properly utilize this block here that you see invisible, and I ended up getting crushed by the collapsing spiked ceilings here multiple times until I realized I need to push the block farther enough in to the point where it was blocking both crushing ceilings, and then move around and then pull the block the other way, the rest of the way. Because I was just pushing it all the way through, not thinking at the time that once it clears the first one's gonna crush me. Yeah, I wasn't smart. Look at that. That's kinda close. And I seriously thought there was gonna be a key in that chest. And an extra golden skull tulip. Yep, I seriously thought there was something extra here, but apparently there wasn't. The key that I'm looking for is on an upper level. And that is what we need this block for. But we're going to need to pull it all the way across so we have just a little bit of space to work with. So we're not crushed from the ceiling, but we have something to jump off from for this upper level. And of course, extra utilization of these spiked ceilings. Nope, not the key I'm looking for. That's the key I'm looking for. And honestly, with the long shot, I probably could hook shot over to the chest there, and that was actually kind of lucky. If I had fallen, I probably could not have gone back to the other side, because I already pulled the block all the way through. Well, that's helpful. Ah, yes. Looks like a big spawning chasm with a chain going across, but with the Lens of Truth, it's something else altogether. Oh, it looks like a nice empty room. Oh, except I am getting hurt. There are spikes, invisible spikes in the floor. This is exactly what you need. Now, these Redeads will get you if you don't come around from behind them. Oh, that's right. And as you kill one, the other one actually gets up and comes walking towards your position. So they are self-aware of their situation, and if you kill one, the rest will come after you. Now to complete the rest of this room, which is finding all 5 silver rubies. It seems like the further in the game you go, it's like the more they fall back on this crutch of 5 silver rubies. I don't know what it is about this particular puzzle obstacle that they are using here, but it seems like it wears out its welcome in the final part of the game, because they use it a lot in the dungeon, in the Shadow Temple, and they use it, I think, quite a bit in the Spirit Temple as well. They don't use it in the Water Temple, at least not to my remembrance, my knowledge. But they use it once in the Ice Cavern, quite a few times in the Shadow Temple, I think once in the Well, and then a few times in the Spirit Temple, and then I think a couple more times in Ganon's Tower. To me, it seems like once or twice, yay, that's good, you know? But it seems like they fell back onto this